Hello, everybody. Welcome to Season Y, Episode 2 of Zebra Reads. Today, we are going to be talking about the book 6-4. I've got a picture of it here. I thought I had a copy of it. I don't seem to. I can't find it. I'm not sure what I did with it. I'm going to stop sharing it now so that you can see me as I talk. 6-4 is by Hideo Yokoyama. It's a mystery story, which is one of my favorites. And it was translated from Japanese by Jonathan Lloyd Davies. So Yokoyama's books are written in his native language. He is a contemporary Japanese author born in Tokyo in 1957. There's very little out there on him that I could dig up. He's a pretty prolific novelist. He's a short story writer. His first novel was published in 1996, and only 3 of his novels have been translated into English, and 6-4 is one of those. He has received several Japanese national awards for his work and has won shortlist nomination in the UK for an award. Prior to writing, he was an investigative reporter, and that definitely makes sense for the type of novels he writes, which are these police procedural mysteries. He claims to have been writing from a very young age. One quote I found describes how he rewrote the end of Treasure Island when he was in elementary school. And the quote goes, "When I was in elementary school, I was called the Library King. After reading Treasure Island, I rewrote the ending. I thought it was sad that the adventure was over. I created a new monster swimming around 7 seas, far scarier than Captain Hook." It does seem like 6-4 has been loosely translated into an English television show. I wrote this a little while ago. I'm not sure if it's still out there. The basic plot does seem to be similar, but I couldn't find like a direct attribution to the book. So I'm not sure if it was intended to be that way. What's the book about? So Yoshinobu Mikami, and they tend to refer to them by their last names. So Mikami is a detective, and I am probably completely ruining the pronunciation. Please correct me if you know. He's a detective in a Japanese police force, and he has recently been transferred to heading the Department of Press Relations, and he is not happy about it. He and his wife also have just been through the horror of having had their only child run away from home. So suddenly there's a surprise visit from the police commissioner, and it is announced that they are going to spur action on a 14-year-old kidnapping case where the kidnapper was never found, but the child was found brutally murdered. So Mikami's job is really only to ensure that the press stay in line for the visit and from the commissioner, and the commissioner's route is secured so that he doesn't get hurt during this public display to try to get some action on this kidnapping case. But Mikami thinks that there's a cover-up going on of some kind. And so as a detective, he follows his leads to get to the truth of the matter, which incites some internal conflicts. And when the truth finally outs, Mikami not only finds that he has figured out what the system really is like, but he also starts learning a little bit more about himself. So this book was extremely important for me in this journey of zebra reads. It's actually taken me a really long time to sit down and record this, because this is probably the book that determined whether or not I was going to continue doing this or not. It absolutely represents the reason I took on zebra reads in the first place. It was extremely frustrating for me to get through this book because of the very different cultural ways in which the US or England and Japan work, as far as um, who is owed respect and how to get that respect. And mysteries are mysteries are the thing that I love to read. I have read all of them. No, I haven't read all of them, but I've read a ton of them. They're my go-to for when I just want to pick something up and read it. I love all of the Victorian British mystery novels. I love all of the quaint little, US dime store novels that are books that are mysteries. I've read the police procedurals. I've read the private investigator novels. I love a good mystery story, and this is a good mystery story. But I kept wanting this book to progress in a way that would be normal for those US based, English based systems. And the Japanese system has so many different formalities and established protocols and social interactions. And I was so unfamiliar with that. I just did not understand. And I kept reading, and I found myself more and more frustrated by the political plays that had to take place. And I kept saying in my head, why doesn't he just do this? Why doesn't he just do this? And it occurred to me finally it occurred to me how much of a struggle it was for me to step away from my understanding of self and make room for this other way of doing things. Um, and I almost stopped. I almost gave up. I almost said, no, I don't want to read this book. This is going to be my first nope. But the whole point of Zebra Reads was to step away from the understanding of myself and make room for others. And I thought, if I stop this, if I just say, no, I can't do it, and it's because I am frustrated because other people do things different than me, then I've just ruined the whole thing, right? So I liked the story overall. I liked the story. It was engaging. Peripherally, I enjoyed it. But honestly, what I learned from this book was more about myself, and being able to say, no, I need to be open to these other ideas. And I have since then continued on with Zebra Reads, and I'm going through even when I come up against something that is very counter to what I am comfortable with. So who would like this book? If I get past all the frustrations that I described of these social interactions, the storyline was really good. If you enjoy mysteries, if you enjoy detective stories, I think it's a good mystery. I did not guess the end at all. There were a lot of threads throughout, and I spent time being truly confused about how this was all going to come together. But it did, and it did very nicely. I think he did an excellent job of putting it together. This was a very interesting look at a different type of a police force. I was intrigued by how the Police officers are assigned different positions and how they get moved and why. It does feel very different from an American or an English system of doing things. And I thought it was really interesting how the press played a role in police work and what a big role they play in what information they can take with them. And it was very interesting. I feel like it'd be a good learning experience for anyone if you're not familiar with it. Who might want to avoid it? The main storyline does revolve around a kidnapping, a murder of the kidnapped child. That doesn't give the end away at all. There's this side story of this teenager who is depressed and runs away from home. And there is this sort of parental pain that is described that I think would be really difficult for anyone who might have been through it. Also, of course, if you're not into mysteries, I wouldn't pick it up. If you it's not your type of book. I thought it was a very good, well-played mystery, police procedural. So if those are on your list, grab it. I think you'd probably enjoy it. Bottom line, what of this one was too often we allow our circumstances to dictate our paths, but sometimes it's forging our own paths that allows us to really learn how to be free. So I found the story to be great overall, and this is the book that I look back on and think this was the pivot, right? I'm either not going to do this anymore or I'm going to stick with it. And I'm glad I stuck with it because I've really been able to get a lot out of many of the other books I've read. So thank you for tuning in to Season Y, Episode 2. I will be back. We don't have very many Ys. Let me look and see how many Ys I have. I don't have a ton. Yeah, it looks like I have 4 more Ys. So, though, yeah, okay. So yes, I will see you next week, or I don't know when. I'll see you again with another episode. Thanks for listening.